Every hour, it seems like new things are developing regarding the Epstein files. So today I want to dive into the most up-to-date recent events that are happening right now. Here, Thomas Massey is about to reveal a bunch of names from the files himself. He is not going to hold back.
But we should be proud of this country because we have a system of justice that works, and yet we do not. Who are the men that should be investigated? I'll name them right here. Leon Black. You don't even have to see past the redactions to see that this man needs to be investigated. Jess Staley, accused of terrible things. It's right there in the files. Why is he not being investigated? And Leslie Wexner, according to him, that they had no questions for him. Why is that?
Now, we know that arrests have happened around the world, but nothing has been done regarding the Epstein files, minus Epstein and Maxwell themselves, which even that was more of a vacation than a prison sentence. We're gonna see if very soon we start seeing some arrests happen here in the United States. More and more details are released every day. But Massey's not done. He's going all in, saying that people need to just stop screwing things up, make everyone accountable, because everything so far has just been ignored and literally thrown under the table.
Do not let the Senate muck this bill up. And if you're a party to that in the Senate, you are part of this cover-up that we are trying to expose. I am sorry if one of your billionaire donors is going to get embarrassed because he went to Rape Island.
Yeah, and that's 100% true right there. Everyone is covering this up because of the big names, the big money names that are involved in the Epstein files. And I'm really glad to see that Massey is coming straight forward and saying it's enough. It's time that we start exposing. Now, someone that's been exposing things for years is Mel Gibson. I originally put a video out regarding this specifically on the channel, which hopefully you guys saw. If you didn't, go check it out. But he was a whistleblower 20 years ago, and everyone looked at him like he was nuts. Let's tune into a few of the things and the signs that he was giving us years ago.
The first time I really came over here, I had a whole bunch of weird paranoid suspicions about what the hell was going on because there was a lot of stuff I couldn't understand.
Right.
And nobody was really bothering to explain it to me.
And this is stuff that we ignored years ago. We, all of us, everyone, society. He was blackballed. He wouldn't be brought into movies because of these crazy things that he was spewing. But now we all realize, with the Epstein files being released slowly, that it actually was legit. And we even have people protesting and exposing in New York City, going down the streets, sharing the names of people that were part of these lists. Everyone is basically tired of everything being swept under the rug.
Jessica Tish, her cousin is on the Epstein list. It's the reason why she's in power. It's the reason why they run this city. They got millions, their families got millions and millions of dollars. And they out here playing. They playing with us. They make their kids run our cities.
So it's not only politicians that are done and upset with everything happening, it's also general people on the streets. Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal also is doing some discussions right here.
I looked at a number of emails specifically around perpetrators who have been named that I really think we need full investigations into. The second thing that occurs to me is that these individuals are being prosecuted. There are individuals in here like Prince Andrew, Mandelson, who are being brought down in other countries, but here in the United States, we haven't seen a single investigation happen.
Yeah, this is something that we were mentioning earlier on. People are getting arrested in other countries, but in the United States, it is all a cover-up. It's because many of the people that we look up to, actors, actresses, massive people, politicians especially, are deeply involved and rooted in the Epstein files, and it could be a massive downfall of the infrastructure of this country because so many people that are in power right now are involved or protecting people that are involved. That's a massive problem.
And then the last thing that I wanted to just talk about is I'm disgusted by these guys who are like, oh, I had no idea what was going on. Some of the names that are coming out and they're like, oh, I had no idea. But when you look at these emails, there's no way they had no idea.
Congresswoman honestly has the outlook that everyone should have. She's fed up and she wants answers for the victims. No one is worried about the freaking victims. Everyone's worried about the people that are gonna get in trouble versus the victims of all these crimes. Now, Trump says that he's been exonerated from the files, that back in 2016, he was the whistleblower letting everyone know about Epstein, although there were tons of images of him with Epstein clearly having a relationship. That's something we discussed in my previous video. But to many, it's very clear that President Trump definitely has a hand in preventing the Epstein files from being released.
That fight to release the Epstein files came directly from President Trump. And I know a lot of people have a hard time with that, but that is the truth. He fought the hardest.
Now, because this involves President Trump, it becomes a Republican versus Democrat debate. That's not at all where this is for me. This is about people, men, women, doing crimes, taking advantage of young children, taking advantage of young adults, and just doing absolutely terrible things. It doesn't need to be political.
It's because we were at a party or a wedding or something that somebody might have been. That's what I found out anyway.
Yeah, no,
I was at Trump's wedding to Marla.
Right.
Maybe Epstein was there too. Who knows?
I don't know.
So that means that I'm not guilty, obviously.
Now we have some breaking news. Poland just dropped a bombshell. They're forming a full task force to rip through the Epstein files and are prepared to launch their own independent investigation. Polish officials say they are not satisfied with the watered-down U.S. releases and now officially view the Epstein files as a direct threat to Poland's national security. Translation: even America's closest Eastern European ally doesn't trust what Washington handed over and thinks the full truth could expose something massive. The elites just got put on notice by Poland. This is getting bigger by the hour. And I'm telling you what, Poland is right. We here in the United States are doing a garbage job exposing these files. And now other countries are going to get involved.
Reporting from NPR as well as MS Now that Trump-related files we've learned are missing.
Oh, and this one is interesting. We've heard that there's 38,000 implications of Trump inside of the Epstein files.
Wrong about one big thing. They thought Donald Trump was the one to take down this secret ring when he is mentioned 38,000 times in the Epstein files. He flew repeatedly on Epstein's private jet and then lied about it. He sent Epstein a happy birthday card with a picture of a naked woman talking about their, quote, wonderful secret.
But now we're hearing that many of the files that include President Trump and kind of make him look like he is guilty within these Epstein files have gone missing.
Let me start with you on the breaking news we have this morning. This new reporting from NPR as well as MS Now that Trump-related files we've learned are missing from the DOJ's file release. What is your reaction to that news?
I'm not surprised at all. He's continuing the cover-up. He's continuing to protect himself and his friends. And that's not what we wanted, and that's what the law says. The law says to release all the files and only protect the victims. But that's not what's happened. And so we're going to continue to press because this is a violation of the law.
The number of things that are actually against the law that have been going on throughout the Epstein files case, and I'm talking years and years, even Maxwell and Epstein going to jail themselves and the cakewalk that Epstein had while he was in jail. I mean, Epstein had work release where he was able to be gone from jail for 12 hours out of SNP, but he had to stay at his house where he could do all of his work, yet he was all over the place, doing work, going wherever he wanted to go, leaving on his jet to go wherever he wanted to go, and it was all completely ignored. This is while he was in jail, on work release. Like I said, it was more like a country club than in jail. Now, this isn't only about Trump, of course. There's many big names inside of here, and here we have Piers Morgan being interviewed with more details and more names being brought out.
He said in 2019, Trump knew about the girls. Now, he could be lying, Epstein. He's a horrible, convicted offender. But the point is, we've not had full investigations. The media has barely touched this, Piers. There's been a lot of coverage of Prince Andrew and Thiel and Elon Musk and Reid Hoffman and all sorts of people. Katie Couric. There hasn't actually been that much coverage of Donald Trump's own relationship with Epstein as much as there should have been if this was any other president or politician.
And that's 100% true. Conspiracy theories you look at and you say, oh, these are crazy ideas. But as we're looking deeper into the Epstein files, the conspiracy theories may actually be more along the lines of truth. And here is a pretty bold and truthful statement.
They are legitimately, proactively protecting. They are protecting.
at this point.
By redacting the abusers' names. The White House, listen up everybody, the f***ing White House is protecting. You hear that? They're f***ing protecting. That's what the f*** they're doing.
And that's Sean Ryan, and he is 100% truthful. It's actually legit that the people that are in power of this country are protecting criminals. It's honestly so hard to believe. When you think about Bill Clinton, years ago was impeached because he got a blowjob. Yet now all this is going on and no one's getting in trouble. It's freaking mind-blowing.
So who gave the order to flag records related to President Trump?
To flag records for President Trump?
To flag any records which included his name.
I'm not going to discuss anything about that with you, Senator.
Eventually, you're going to have to answer for your conduct in this. And you won't do it today, but eventually you will. I yield, Mr. Chairman.
So what he's basically saying right there is President Trump's name was in the Epstein files. Someone was put in charge of flagging those records so that those records can be scrubbed, removed from the Epstein files to protect people that had wrongdoing within, specifically in this case, President Trump. And Bondi does not want to respond. And she doesn't look very happy that that question was even asked. All right, this should be good. Republican congressman answers questions on Epstein files transparency. Survivor responds to his answer. Let's see what they have to say.
Full release. Should there be things redacted because it's lawful? Not only lawful, it would violate the law if they weren't. You know, some of these victims were 13 years old at the time. Okay. And so some of the victims do have rights.
Yeah.
And so I think that has to be looked at carefully too.
Do I think
we should hide anybody that was a perpetrator? No, absolutely. Good. And I think we need to be absolutely transparent about who this evil guy hung around with.
And to be clear, Trump is not accused of wrongdoing, right?
He's not.
But the longer this conversation happens about transparency and whether or not it's happening, it doesn't go away. Are Republicans just kind of hoping this is going to peter out by midterms?
Now, what's funny is you gotta wonder, like, a lot of people are saying the right things. They're saying this has to come out. We have to share this. People need to know who the perpetrators are here. But are they actually doing things after these interviews to make those actions happen? Or is it then just, again, being pushed under the rug? From what we've seen so far, no action is being taken. So clearly, as a representative of the Republican Party, he's not going to say anything negative about President Trump. He's part of the Republican Party. But to say that he is definitely not a part of everything, although so much information is being hidden, it's just crooked. Because you can't say that until all of the facts are there. Then you could go through all of the facts and determine what actually happened and determine who's actually guilty, whether President Trump is or is not, whether any of the other names inside of the files are or are not. And let's be honest for a second here. We have a lot of people that are watching this video that like President Trump, and we have a lot of people that do not like President Trump and any of the other names that are within the files. But what we need to do is, if factual information is there regarding people, whether we like them or not, about crimes that they've comes out, and if it becomes fact, they need to be held accountable whether we like them or not. It's that simple. So it seems like people are starting to resign from positions here. Department of Justice show that former Nebraska Governor Bob Kearney emailed with Epstein in 2013 and 2014.
Alleged emails between former Nebraska Governor and U.S. Senator Bob Kerrey and Jeffrey Epstein have surfaced. Kerry's name is mentioned several times in the documents released by the Department of Justice, but many of those mentions come from third parties trying to coordinate schedules or inviting Kerry to meetings in 2013 and 2014. It's led to his decision to resign from his position as board chair at the energy company Monolith. He said this was a necessary step because he believes in the work that the company is doing and its importance to Nebraska and the U.S.
People are saying that they don't. I saw him one time and that's all I recall. That is not a definitive, I've only met with him one time. That is saying, I've met with him one time, it's the only one that I remember, but maybe there's some other time that we met that I'm not recalling, which is complete bogus. We know that if that is the response, that's leaving a door open for when something does get proven in the future, you can then go back and say, oh, you know, I forgot about that. Yeah, that happened too. I did meet with him at that time as well. And then trying to move the focus onto the victims. We need to now focus on the victims, not focus on the people who were actually the predators in this case. It's freaking gaslighting.
This is not a victimless crime. There are real victims. Women who were girls at the time, children at the time. So the Department of Justice, that's where they need to put their attention. And I hope the American people do as well.
So maybe there were no criminal things that were going on with Kearney, but maybe there were. We're not gonna know, or at least not yet. Stephen Hawking? Do you guys believe that he was involved as well? And there have been many allegations of females accusing people of different types of abuse. Here, the woman who directly named Trump in her abuse allegation claimed that around 1983, when she was around 13 years old, Epstein introduced her to Trump, who subsequently forced her head down to his exposed pee, which she subsequently bit. In response, Trump punched her in the head and kicked her out. Now, some truth does come out regarding Bill Gates, and he says, "I never spent any time with the victims." Not sure how true that is. His name is splashed all over the Epstein files. Bill Gates admits he cheated on Melinda Gates with 2 Russian women after Epstein files release. So, involved in some way, not knowing the age of these women or anything like that, but at least infidelity is being admitted. But redactions need to stop looking like this and actually be cleansed so we can see what the heck these files are saying. So now a little bit more about the files that are missing and where they may be.
And now we have a response from the DOJ as they are facing more and more questions about where these missing files are, why they're missing. And in a nutshell, their response is nothing to see here, saying anything that's been removed is for redactions to protect victims and would be promptly restored. And, quote, all responsive documents have been produced unless a document falls within one of the following categories: duplicates, privileged, or part of an ongoing federal investigation.
The DOJ is basically just making excuses and continuing to blow smoke and cover up wrongdoing. It's blatant. Again, it's very clear that there's a cover-up going on, that people don't want to expose things, but I think we're getting closer and closer to the truth. Now, if you found all of this interesting, you need to go check out this video for more details.